Thank you. Obviously a great college basketball game. Tough for us in the sense I felt like, the demise of our team was simply our free throw shooting. Had we, rang the bell from the free throw line, I think the game's different. I think you could probably pick out a few plays. We don't come up with loose balls down the stretch, whether that's the end of the regulation or in the end of overtime. That had we come up with a few of those, maybe the ending's different. But to me, that was it. It was a couple defensive stops we couldn't get simply because of loose balls and offensive rebounds and fouling a few guys around the rim, and then our inability to make free throws. And we shoot 100 free throws on every game day. Each guy's responsible for shooting 100 free throws. And as I go down the list, our GA, Taylor Barnett, puts that list on my desk, and I go down, and today was as good as it's been all year. 92, 94, 96, 91, 92. I think we had 3 guys out of 16 guys in the team, 3 guys that shot in the mid to high 80s. So sometimes it bounces like that.
Okay. We'll begin with questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you.
What happened with Jordan? What happened with Jordan Warner today?
What do you mean what happened to him?
He wasn't as effective as he's been.
He didn't play well. He didn't play very well. So we took him out and played with the other guys who were playing better.
How were they able to take him out of the game?
Well, I thought he missed some shots that he normally makes. I think he didn't really get going on the offensive glass until midway through the second half, and it was too late by then. I thought other guys were playing much harder, so we played other guys. And obviously he wasn't very good on the floor today. And, no one puts in more time than Jordan, but he didn't play very well today.
We'll go to the left side, Jerry.
Coach, Kentucky struggled with execution, late game, possession by possession. How did you think they did it tonight with that?
I want to say this in a respectful way. They don't run a whole lot. They just put what they perceive our weaker defenders in runner action. And they just had their 2 big guys setting pin downs, and they just try to run off those screens and gain an angle or gain an advantage. I thought they shot the ball better today, obviously, than they have all year. But I thought, some of their looks were created because of their quickness and their ability to use those screens effectively. But I give them credit. The cross screen for Nick Richards in the overtime hurt, and that was a little counter they run to that baseline runner that we had defended pretty well up until that point. The 2 or 3 other times they ran it, got our wires crossed or didn't recognize it quick enough, and I put the ball in the basket. So they did the job.
Coach, early in the second half, it looked like Sistina kind of outcompeted you guys. They got that 3, they went up 12. What changed after that?
Well, I think that in one of the huddles, I think our guys were a little pissed off. I think they became a little bit tougher on the defensive end. We let, for a little while, our offensive struggles get Kentucky out in transition. And then they broke our back on a couple of offensive rebounds. And I think a few of our guys had enough. And I thought the response was great. And when we evened it up and we came back from 12 points and then took the lead, we have to be able to do the same thing that got us back in the game, to finish off the game. But 2 teams competing their tails off. And again, I think if we make free throws, we go 9 for 20, they go for 21 for 25. That's a problem.
Mohammed, here in the center.
Chris, what did you think from what you saw from Tyrese Maxey today, and how challenging was it to stop him?
He's good. We knew that coming in. He's an explosive scorer. Like a lot of scorers, sometimes he takes some difficult shots, but at the same time, you know, we knew that he was going to take him. You know, guys like that don't lose their confidence usually. And, you know, he's just a challenge. A couple of the threes he hit in the first half were, we didn't do a good enough job getting back in transition and getting matched up. And you can't play, in my opinion, at least with my team, maybe other teams can, an open court game with Kentucky and feel like you're going to be the victor. So we did a much better job of boxing them in the half court, playing half court basketball. He's good, and his pull-up game, his ability to, you know, make threes today was better than it's been. But you know, we knew what he was capable of.
Back right, Kyle.
Chris, Nick Richards has put up some better stats this season than in the past, but I think a lot of folks around here were waiting to see if he would do it against a good opponent. What did you think of what he did?
He was good. I mean, he's big as hell. I mean, you don't see that size very often. You know, I think when he stood next to Steve, I mean, you know, Steve was a couple inches shorter. You know, and I thought, but I thought Steve played his tail off. I thought he got deep post position. We went to him. He tried the game up, took the lead a couple times. Memory serves correct. We were trying to go to him. I know 17 shots is an awful lot for Steve, but you know, outside of a few errant plays that he made, you know, I thought Steve really did the job today, what we needed him to do. But we knew Nick Richards was a really good player. You know, we tried to go at him as much as we could, and you know, give him credit. We knew how talented he is.
Chris, the way that Kimball competed, I mean, I don't know if this was his best game. It seemed like this may have been his best game for the guys.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think our backcourt gets maligned at times, and I thought both Fresh and Darius, you know, made some big time shots, you know, big time plays. Whether it's Fresh's reverse layup, Fresh's three in the corner, Darius hit a big three. I mean, I thought those guys did a pretty damn good job on both ends of the floor against a very talented, athletic, quick backcourt. You know, and so I think they grew up a little bit today, you know, in terms of maybe their confidence and what we need them to be down the stretch.
We'll go to the left side, Jerry.
To expand on that a little bit, why was Fresh able to be so much more aggressive tonight? It seemed like he was just kind of splitting the defense, getting to the rim a lot more than he has in the past, in addition to the three-pointers.
Well, I think for Fresh, Kentucky really denies, you know, passes, and that opens up the court if you can gain a half step on your man. You know, and Higgins is awfully handsy. You know, he loves to try to take the ball from you. You know, Fresh is in his 5th year, and it's still a challenge. I don't care how many years he's been playing. You know, Higgins really good with his hands, but you know, at times that leaves you exposed. You know, you use your hands, forget about your feet, gets in the lane, and I thought he made some terrific plays today. His ability to finish, I thought as the game wore on, he gained a lot of confidence in himself. Big time three. We know Fresh has it in him. I was really pleased to see how our point guards responded to that.
We have time for 2 more. We'll begin here at the back right.
Coach, have y'all this first off. You've got a full step coming up in a matter of days. This game, does it really prepare you for conference play, knowing that the ACC is arguably one of the top basketball conferences in the country? Are you where you need to be?
I mean, I think anytime you play a team as talented as Kentucky, as well coached, you know, in their house, it's going to prepare you for some of the venues we're going to play in. You know, we're going to play big teams, we're going to play athletic teams, we're going to play teams in hostile environments. And I don't know if last year's team, the team I had last year, could have been able to piece together an ability to tie the game, take the lead. I really felt like we had control of the game. If you can say that in a one-possession game, just couldn't come up with a defensive rebound. We couldn't make our free throws, and that hasn't been a problem for this team. But you give Kentucky a lot of credit for, you know, battling through some resiliency as well, showing resiliency like they did. So, yeah, I think anytime you play games of this magnitude, you know, in this environment, it's only going to make your team better if they stay together. And we have a lot of high-character guys in our locker room, so I don't really worry about the staying together piece.
Last question, Jerry on the left.
I'm wondering how much, if there's a degree of satisfaction in coming in here, Kentucky in the wagon circle, and lost their last 2 charged atmosphere, to take them into overtime and play competitively right till the end with Warren not.
But we expected to win, you know, like the 106th team in Louisville history didn't have to bear the burden of the last time other teams didn't come here and, you know, do the job. So we expected to win. We're disappointed that we didn't. But as I said before, I think the guys in our locker room will figure out a way to make this game, make them better. You know, what I saw on the floor wasn't anything different that I already knew about my team. We just have to get better in certain areas, and a couple guys got to play better.
Thanks, Coach, very much. Players are on deck.